Alright, I want you all to picture this for me. It is early December, and Christmas is happening. Everyone's so full of joy, and it's a bit dark outside. It's a bit late in the evening, and we're working at Subway. Two guys come in all by themselves. The store's completely empty, but they give off a strange vibe. They're like the wannabe gangster white guys. One of them is like 16, one of them is like in their mid to late 20s, and guy that was 16 had something in his back pocket. 26-year-old guy came up to me and said, "Hey, give me all your money." And I'm working behind the counter, and these guys look honestly kind of hilarious, so I think they're just kidding. And the 26-year-old grabbed the back pocket of his 16-year-old and grabbed out a little like ceramic like toy gun, like a Nerf jolt of it, if you know what that looks like. And so he pointed at me saying, "I'm not fucking around, give me all the money." And so this time I got a bit more serious, thinking maybe these guys are real. It still looks like a toy though. Dude shot in the ceiling, pointed at me again and said, "Give me all your money." We got robbed during Christmas. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Subway Stories. So I'm working by myself at Subway like I normally do, and there's this old-ish lady in her mid-60s comes up and asks about the bread. Our bread names at Subway are kind of weird. In our Italian bread, we have this artisan in front of it. I have no idea what that means. I just assume it's marketing. And so she asks, "Hey, what does this artisan mean?" And I say, "That's just our white bread, ma'am." She says, "What is the artisan?" And I say, it's our white bread." I grab it out from behind me. "Sure, this is our white bread." And she asks me for a third time, and I get more confused, and I say, "Ma'am, it's just our white bread." And by like the fourth or fifth time, she says, "I don't know if you're deaf or something, but I asked you what kind of bread it is." And I'm just kind of taken back. I mean, you would assume that I would be taken aback by this. Questioning why she's getting mad over bread. So she goes to the door, and that's gonna be the end of this. And before she grabs the handle, she turns around and says, "This is what's the problem with your generation. You don't respect your elders." Yeah, I was one of those people. So she comes up to the front counter and starts blabbering my ear off about how I'm so disrespectful. I just don't want to deal with this. So I just say, "Get out of my store. If you're gonna treat me like this, just get out of my store. Just get out of my store." And so she gets obviously more mad at me about that, and I just keep on saying, just get out of my store. I don't want to have to deal with this. And eventually she starts a screaming match, getting louder and louder. Luckily nobody else was in the store, but eventually she just said, "Rotten hell." And I say, "You first, have a nice day." And before she left, she got a look at my name tag and thought my name was Andrew. And before she left, she says, what, Andrew? You're going to be hearing about yourself in the newspaper. You're hearing about the disrespectful Subway worker." Because I didn't know what the artisan was in the artisan Italian white bread. That's not the most of it. I was in the middle of a lunch rush, and if you've been on a Subway after lunch rush, it is kind of chaotic, especially for the Subway workers. And there's this guy that started waiting in line kind of at the wrong end of the counter, which I get kind of annoyed by because there's this big sign that says, "Order here." But he's at the end of the counter and he says, "You know what? Let me speak to your manager." I'm thinking, why? So I get her out from the back and say, "Hey, some guy wants to talk to you. I think I might be in trouble." And she gets out there and says, "How can I help you, sir?" And he says, "Can I just get 3 of those cookies?" So we gave him 3 cookies, and he gave us $200, 2 Benjamins, threw it in the tip jar and said, "You guys have a nice day." It's not a bad customer story, I just like to mix in the nice ones. I live in the Vancouver area, which is right next to downtown Portland, and if you know anything about Portland is full of crazy people, and most importantly, is full of all the Pacific Northwest homeless people. Portland's been overrun by the homeless population, and it's kind of sad. But, hot take, they're kind of greedy. Because for the past few months, past like 6 months, we'd always have a homeless person outside the store. For about 2 months, it was the same homeless person. They'd always be outside of the store, begging people for food. And so, of course, being the kind, generous souls they are, they would let the homeless person in and buy them a sandwich. And every single day, we'd see them pulling the same charade, screwing over people and taking their money and getting free food out of it just for asking. There once was this homeless lady who took advantage of one of our good customers. This kind lady comes in and orders the same sandwich every week or so and always sparks a great conversation and makes everything kind of light and happy. And there was this homeless person that was outside that was diabetic, and in her gracious heart, this kind customer that's our loyal customer comes back and says, "Here, let me buy you an applesauce. This has lots of sugar in it and it should help with that diabetics." But the homeless person, I take the money, get her, and say, "Okay, you can take your applesauce." And she said, "No, I want a cookie." I was like, not even a question, demanded to get a cookie. And of course, this kind soul said, "I bought you an apple juice because you said you were diabetic." And she said, "No, I want a cookie. You, subway worker, get a cookie for me. Exchange it." And I looking at her saying, "I already made the interaction for applesauce. And because you're demanding to get a cookie, I'm not just gonna give you a cookie because you rudely asked." And so eventually, this starts another screaming fight over a cookie. And eventually, our kind loyal customer leaves, and I say, "I'll take care of this." And after 15 minutes, she took the receipt, and I haven't seen her since. But I think that's going to do it today, folks, for the Subway stories. I have many more Subway stories. I've been working at my Subway for about a year and a half, but those are going to be for another time. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.